by eating properly. And then you'll feel like actually you have the knowledge that you need to be able to never have to diet again. Wouldn't that be a wonderful position to be in? Never having to diet again. Because it's depressing, isn't it? I don't know about you. I'd like you to think about, no, don't think about this. I don't want you to think about a yellow mini. Whatever you do, don't think about a yellow mini. Who's thinking about a yellow mini? Okay, so I'm going on a diet, so I'm not going to think about eating chocolate. What am I going to think about? Chocolate. Eating chocolate. So as soon as I used to go on diets, I would just think about food all the time. Do you do this, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, we all do this. Because as soon as you start denying yourself something, your body craves it, doesn't it? So with this stable solution, you're never going to have to do that again. Okay. Now, a big part of what I'm going to do when I work with you, and what I do with my clients when I work with them, is talking about cleansing the body. Now, we live in a very toxic world, ladies. Very toxic world. Unfortunately, we have a system that was designed many, many years ago, thousands of years ago, that had lots of fresh air. It wasn't exposed to pollution. It wasn't exposed to chemicals that we put on our skin. It wasn't exposed to herbicides and pesticides and preservatives in our food. It wasn't exposed to the hormones that are in our water supply because we're all on HRT and the contraceptive pill. We had this lovely charmed lifestyle where everything was fresh and clean. And our bodies then used to be able to do a natural detoxification. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Yeah. But now we live in a very, very toxic world. The 21st century is a very toxic world for us, which means that our livers and our cleansing systems are very, very overloaded. So until you understand the principles of why we need to cleanse the body and how we cleanse the body, you will never, ever, ever lose weight and keep it off. You might lose some weight by shrinking your fat cells, by cutting out on some calories, but then as soon as, and this is what happens, is as soon as you then start eating normally, the fat cells plump up. And we're going to go through a little bit about how this works a bit later on so that you can understand. So this part of the program is called the Healing Blueprint. Okay. This part of the program is really, I call it care, because if you're not looking after yourself in various different ways, then you will also be the person that is going to struggle to have that healthy lifestyle. Now, what do I mean? Now, you know I'm a Pilates teacher, so one of the things that we talk about is actually what exercise that we all need to do. Would you agree with me that we all need to move somehow? Pilates might not be your thing. You might want to swim, or you might want to run, or you might want to jazzercise, we were talking about earlier on, whatever it is. So we all need to move. So there's the care of our own bodies that we need, that part of it is about fitness. But we also need to take care of what's going on in here. Because with the best will in the world, if you're eating the right things, and I'm going to teach you how to do that, and you're filling the gaps in your nutrition, I'm going to teach you how to do that. If your mindset is, I'm never going to lose weight, this isn't ever going to happen for me, and actually you've got other people saying, well, you've tried dieting before and it's never worked. Guess what? What you say to yourself is probably true. It's a bit like, have you heard the expression, you are the result of the 5 people you spend your time with? So if you've got the naysayers saying, oh, you know, you'll never get into that lovely dress you've got in the back of the wardrobe, or you shouldn't actually, you know, you shouldn't go on that program because you've tried all of those other programs before and they've never worked. So actually, working on your mindset and your own self-belief is a big part of the program. Because until you can actually be in a positive frame of mind, your body recognises this as stress. And guess what? Stress is a toxin. Have you ever been in a situation where you say, oh, I'm going to start a diet, but I'm not in the right frame of mind now? Have you done this? I'll start it tomorrow. I'll feel better tomorrow, so I'll start it tomorrow. Is that just me? No, you're all smiling. Okay. So this part of the program is called the Action Accelerator. So we're looking at fitness, we're looking at caring, and ladies, we are also talking about you putting yourself first. Raise your hand if you're a mum or you've got a mum. Okay, what are we really rubbish at? Putting ourselves first. We tend to be the bottom of the pile. You heard my very short story about my health. My health went down because I was definitely the bottom of the pile. I was looking after everybody else in my world, my family, my children, my husband's needs, in terms of me working when I didn't really want to. I was looking after my elderly father. We're in a situation now where we've got the young and the elderly population to look after. I was looking after my friends who were going through a divorce. I was looking through my colleagues who were being threatened with redundancy. Nobody was looking after me. And least of all, not me. So this is part of the action accelerator, is learning how to actually prioritise you as well. Okay, control. We talked about control earlier as well. So, raise your hand if you have breakfast in the morning, please. Okay, so we've got some people who don't have breakfast in the morning. And raise your hand again if you have breakfast and it tends to be something like cereal or toast, something like that. Okay, so this part of the programme is absolutely critical, because once you understand how to get control of what you're putting in your mouth and when, you are never, ever, ever going to forget it. Which means that when you do this 6-week programme, you're never going to have to do it again. You're never going to have to do a Weight Watchers course again. Because once you've got the principles and you understand how to gain control and put the proper foods in the proper proportions into your body, you're never going to forget it. I can't tell you how excited I am for you, because it is so simple. Honestly, losing weight is really, really simple when you know how to do it. So this is about control. So I called it the portion pathway. Now we do look at portions, but we also look at the combination of why you need certain types of foods. So let's shout out some types of food. So we've mentioned carbohydrates already, from this lovely lady here. What other types of food might we need? What other types of nutrients do we need in our diet? Protein. Protein, yeah. Minerals. Fibre. Fibre. Essential fats, you get a gold star. Anything else? Yeah, probably about it really. Vitamins, minerals, amino acids, those kinds of things as well. So actually, the portion pathway part of the programme is teaching you how to combine these foods so that essentially what we're doing here is stabilising your blood sugar. Most people who've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes do not understand why they have it. They've never been told. And essentially what happens is that when you have a lifetime of eating without understanding this, is that your blood sugar levels are going up and down and up and down like this. And this is what is causing your cravings. Particularly for that person that starts the day with carbohydrate-loaded breakfast, so cereal, toast, those kind of things. It sends your blood sugar up, and then it crashes back down. So I don't know if you've got kids. Have you got children, or you know a child? I've got 3 children. I used to do this. I'd give them cereal for breakfast. And actually, they'd have cereal, and then by the time I got them in the car, they'd be completely hyper. Get in the car. And they get to school, I was 9. And that's because I've given them, basically, a whole ton of sugar for breakfast. That's what I've done. I just as well have scrabbled up a packet of biscuits and put some milk on it and given them, because it's full of sugar and salt, essentially. Sends their blood sugar up. By the time I get to school, it's down here. And this happens to you too as adults. And then basically you have something else for lunch, your blood sugar goes up again. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're probably wanting the biscuit or the crisps or the craving things that you've got. By supper time, you're then going, oh, your body's just going, just feed me, because actually I've been on this roller coaster all day. This is not your fault. It is not your fault that you are overweight. I'm going to say that again. It is not your fault if you are overweight. Because basically, once I teach you how to stabilise your blood sugar, you will be in control of what you do here in the evening and what you do in the evening, particularly when you're craving that bit of chocolate or whatever it is. Does that make sense? Because it's not what you do throughout the day, it's what you do, it's not what you do in the evening, it's what you do throughout the day. And once you learn the principles of combining healthy fats, thank you, protein, the right kind of carbohydrates, then you will never ever have this fluctuation again. And we can even turn around people with newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes. Because effectively what's happened is that you've worn your pancreas out, your cells become what's called insulin resistant, and that leads to diabetes. So it may be that a lot of the population who are clinically obese are already in that insulin resistant state. It's not good to be a diabetic, is it?
It's awful.
It's awful.
I'm controlling by diet, or trying to.
Yes, good for you.
It's very hard.
It's very hard. And you know, there are things that if you don't control your diabetes, you can end up with site issues, with joint issues, with circulatory issues, even loss of limbs for people that are severely diabetic. So it's not a great place to be. But once you've done the portion pathway, you'll never ever have to worry about this, because you will have absolute understanding of how you can not only control your own diet, but also those that you know and love around you as well. And finally, this one is to do with the toxicity issue that we talked about earlier on. So the chemicals that are around us. So let's think about some chemicals or toxicity that we've got in our diet. I talked about herbicides and pesticides. Anybody else got some things that might act as toxic to our systems? Some obvious ones.
Parabens.
Parabens, yeah. So a lot of people that use, apparently the average woman uses 500 chemicals on her skin on a daily basis, apparently. By the time you've washed and showered and put your makeup on. That's scary, isn't it? So. Okay, so parabens, yeah.
Sweetness.
Sweetness.
Pollen.
Pardon?
Pollen.
Yeah. What other chemicals are there that we're being exposed to all the time? Ones that we've got in our glasses, alcohol, cigarettes, caffeine, that acts as a toxin in the body. And actually the biggest toxin for your body is the white stuff that you put in your tea, sugar. That actually acts as a toxin in the body. So what we need to do is understand how we can reduce the exogenous toxins and also the endogenous ones as well. So there are things like our hormones. Yes, so we need our hormones to be balanced in order to keep a healthy weight. Raise your hand if you've ever been in a situation where somebody said to you, oh, I've reached 40 something or other, and actually now I've put all this weight around my tummy. Have you ever heard anybody say that? Oh yeah, my tummy, you didn't used to have that, it's now sitting here. Yeah? Yeah. So what we also need to do is to understand how we can balance our hormones as well. So this is a 5-pronged approach, and this particular part of it is called the Easy Energizer. And we talk about things called obesogens, which are those chemical toxins that are keeping us fat. Just do this for me. Just do this. Put your drink down if you can. So this is your cell. Okay, these are your cells. Now each of your cells is surrounded by fat. Okay, so every time we take a chemical into our body in whatever form, so it could be alcohol, it could be sugar, it could be pharmaceutical drugs, painkillers, whatever. The liver, which is a very clever organ, says, oh, that's really, really dangerous. So we're going to deal with that, we're going to process it, and we're going to store it in our fat cells because it needs to be safely away from your brain and all your vital organs. Now, the more chemicals and obesogens and things like xenoestrogens, which are false hormones that go into your system, the more they need to be stored in your fat. So can you see that that fat around that cell is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger? Does that make sense to you? So the fatter you are, actually, you need to be very grateful for your fat, because your fat is actually keeping you safe. Because if those toxins were in your body, they would actually be doing you lots of harm. Do you understand what I mean? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. So this is one of the things that we go through in the Easy Energizer. So this is called the shape system. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how this works. So effectively, this is a 6-block program. Now it might not work over 6 weeks.